Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're here to talk about X-Men 97. And as always, I have here with me Ramon
Hey guys.
and Raul.
Howdy, howdy.
But more importantly, we have a very special guest that I'm very excited to introduce. Sylvia, if you want to say hi to everybody.
Hello. Nice to meet everyone, I guess.
Hey.
Yeah. So I was able to, reach out to Sylvia and I said, hey, we're looking for sort of somebody really cool, somebody who can come in and bring a different perspective into our group chat for these episodes. And you were nice enough to be like, yeah, I'm down. I can do this. Obviously me being a dummy, I didn't ask for any credentials. I'm like, yeah, you're great for the job. Come on board. So I'm happy to have you.
I think you're lying. You actually messaged somebody else and then that person fell through and I just kind of came in and you were like, yeah, we'll just take you. I already promised Ramon somebody, so I'll just bring you on right now.
No, go ahead, Ramon.
Which again, I wouldn't even know the difference because we were like, yeah, hey, I'm bringing someone in. I'm like, cool. And the whole discussion earlier about possibly being a catfish then eventually came into our minds. So
Yeah,
we're like,
yeah.
What if?
Well, what really happened, is Raul found me, and then, after he catfished Carlos, and then, he was kind of a little bit in trouble, so then he got to me, and then I came on here right now. So actually, I'm being paid for this, because,
There
I
you
was going to say, whatever
Raul's got no money.
I'm paying her in bottle caps.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Perfect.
Nice.
For Fallout, right? Caps. Yeah.
Easy.
That's funny because I actually been playing the Fallout on my iPhone and it's been great. It's been going really great.
Yeah. When do you think they're coming out with the fifth one?
Wait, what did you say?
Which one?
Oh, okay. Just assume I'm always talking to Sylvia about what she said.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. When do you think the fifth one's coming out?
Well, I have no idea. I mean, now with the success of the show, they're gonna work to make one of the greatest games, probably for the next one.
Honestly, great show though.
Oh yeah, we were really very happily surprised that was a great show. Not that we're avid Fallout players, but it's one of those things that perfect show to get people into the Fallout universe and world because
it's hard.
Yeah. But then the trouble was deciding what game to start off when there's so many already available.
I know. Yeah,
and,
true.
I mean, the video game adaptations have historically been bad, except for recently that they've actually been pretty good with Witcher and Sonic and this and.
Oh yeah, we're getting fed for sure. But Sylvia, I mean, you're sort of mentioning how you're a gamer, but we're learning about you, so maybe our audience can learn about you, in this recording. Is there anything you want to tell us? I mean, and you can kind of start off maybe what you've been watching. That's kind of what we like to do. Just talk about what we've been watching or seeing or playing.
Honestly, I have kind of been watching that Fallout show. I think I'm only on the 4th or 5th episode. I haven't gone any further. So I can't wait to kind of see the rest of it and how it all plays out. But a show that I always go back to, and I don't know if you guys have watched it, but it's called The 100. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. So good. The first 3 or 4 seasons. Once it gets kind of past that, it gets a little weird. But it is.
I never finished it.
Yeah. See, it's one of those shows where I put so much time in it that I had to watch all the seasons. And then before I knew it, I was on season 8, and it was just the wonkiest thing that was going on. But the first 3 or 4 seasons, amazing. And whenever I'm just doing something or want to play something in the background, that's my go-to show. I feel like it's just, I think even if you haven't watched it or you don't like dystopian TV shows, you would enjoy this one. It has a little bit of everything for everybody.
But by any chance, have you ever seen the Leftovers?
No, I haven't. See, everyone tells me about it, and I feel like I need to watch it, but no one's told. I haven't gotten the time to see it.
Okay. The only reason
I've
why
seen 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, because I sort of recommended for you to watch it. But I feel like anytime I hear about the 100, I always feel like it's very similar show. But what is the premise of the 100?
So they're up in space. Basically, there was a nuclear war over on Earth, and they get them up in space. So most of humanity, or as they know it, is living in space. Anyone who is under the age of 18, instead of floating them is what they call it. So they basically kind of send them out into space to basically die, essentially. They put them in a jail if they're 18 and under. And because they know that the ship can no longer support that many people on space, they send down these kids that are 18 or younger to Earth, back to Earth, hoping that Earth is now livable again. So they send them back down in their ship, and they have little armrests that tell them how the weather is like and how much radiation is there, and then they just have to fend off on their own, basically.
Okay, that's definitely not what I expected it to be.
It's very, very good idea.
Okay.
It starts off really, really good. I get as far as whatever the AI thing that they run into. That's as far as I got with the show.
Okay.
Once one of those character dies, kind of spoiler alert, but not really. Once one of them kind of, that's when I couldn't. But then I continued because I had to. Yeah. Too much time and effort was put in it, but it's a very, very good show.
No, that's awesome. There's a lot of shows that during COVID I caught up on, or even more recently. What was that attorney show that I was watching, Ro? The one that became really...
Suits.
Like Meghan Markle.
I watched all 8 seasons of Suits, and we talk about how we don't have time to do anything, but then all of a sudden I found myself like in a period of a month just streaming 8 seasons of that show. So yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's part of the podcast's responsibility sometimes. Is like I don't have time to watch a lot of stuff, but you tell me to watch something or you recommend it, and I just find myself with like an hour. The next thing you know, I'm watching the whole freaking show, and I'm like, damn it, like.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. Carlos brought up a show and I was like, yeah, I guess I'll watch it with the 2 hours I have to spare. And now I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
There you go.
No, that's great. Is there anything, we can talk about what we've all been doing, but Ramon, have you been watching or, doing anything cool?
The last thing I watched was Baby Reindeer. I guess that's an actual like showing completion. Like I don't think I talked about that last week, but
you did talk about it.
I did? Well,
yeah, because we both saw it.
Well, I had a busy weekend, so that was the one thing that I've kind of watched the most recently. Sadly, this week I have not caught up on my freaking Kaiju number 8 that I love so much. Other than that, I was just rewatching some old episodes of X-Men, the animated show, but the 92 one. And then eventually, obviously, finishing 97. So it was good. I was trying to put myself in the mood before I finished the most current one, but other than that, nothing too crazy right now.
Oh, that makes sense, man. What about you, Ro? You had a busy weekend and we know why, so you don't have to reveal it to the audience. That can be our little group secret.
So besides watching the new My Hero episodes that are out now, and already second episode, it kind of made me sad. But I saw the first episode of Demon Slayer, and that was interesting.
Okay, and that's the one I want to talk about. So just hold on for that for a second.
Okay, go ahead. And I've been looking for another anime to get hooked on. Well, I've been watching Kaiju number 8 and Go Loser Ranger, but I finally found one that I got hooked, and I'm in season 3 now. That I started this like on Sunday of Overlord. Finally.
Okay,
cool.
I'm familiar with Overlord. Yeah.
Better question yet, Ro. Did you ever finish Rick and Morty?
No, not yet.
No.
Quit. No, I just want to take a break.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
I'll finish it.
Please finish it. You'll enjoy it.
I will.
Real quick on the Demon Slayer, and I know you guys, I don't know, are you a Demon Slayer fan by any chance, Sylvia? Any anime that you like to watch?
Anime in general? Yeah.
Honestly, I would love to watch more anime. I think I've only watched Naruto, though, and then back in the day, I watched, like, Mew Mew. I don't know if anybody knows what that is.
No.
But it's like a very, very old show. I don't think Winx actually counts as it. That's another girly show, I guess. And then I'm starting to do One Piece because I just watched the live action of it. So I want to see the actual like cartoon of it. Yeah.
You know what?
That is a journey.
Yeah, it's a journey. Yeah. If you do record, because we'd like to do anime, so maybe if it's like one that we feel like you might be able to like watch it, if it's like 12 episodes, we'll ask you to watch it, and maybe that'll be your introduction to like more anime. Because Kaiju number 8, I think that's the one that for sure we're going to talk about next, and that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, I'm down.
And don't worry, there's never any like shame on not watching anime. Like I was obviously besides like Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, and Naruto, like
whatever
forever
watches,
yeah. But like even as an adult, like all through like college and grad school, like I watched almost no TV, played no games, did nothing with my life. Well, stuff. But anyways, and then long story short,
now he's married and he's having kids. He didn't do anything.
Exactly. Yeah, all those things, But yeah, no. At the end of the day, it was like around COVID too that Carlos was like, dude, watch this. I'm like, you know what? What else am I doing? Let's start it. And honestly, there's just some things that, like some shows you can recommend and you'll be hooked. Not all anime, but at least you'll be like, cool, give me another good recommendation. And then, so again, later on, if you're like, hey, what do you guys recommend? We got lists. These guys got lists for sure.
Yeah, we definitely got a list.
Please send me all the shows. I'm more than happy. Honestly, half the time at work too, I'm watching a show on the side while I'm typing away as well. So.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
No,
I does that too.
Yeah. Hey, don't tell anybody on that. On this. No, with Demon Slayer, I did get to watch the first episode today, Ro, and I love Demon Slayer, but I sort of feel like this season's going to be very disappointing. And I was already disappointed with the first episode. And this was the episode that people saw in the movie theaters because, they did, what was it, like the last episode of the last season and then this new episode in the movie theater combined.
And it was a long episode, too. It was like a 40-minute episode.
And it was, Ramon, it's so boring. Like, honestly, if I would have been in the movie theater with you, I would have been like, we got to go, man. Like, this is making me fall asleep.
Hey, you're making me excited now. I got to go watch it, like, right now. Like, I might just have to, close my laptop, get out of here.
Well, for me, the craziest part about it was the intro, because the intro was actually very filled with action. But that's not even part of the manga. To me, I think they added that part because they know that this season's just very light on the action. So I feel like they purposely added this scene in the beginning. But other than that, I just don't feel like anything meaningful is going to happen. But I do have very high expectations for the next season. So the next season's when I really want to be on board 100%.
Okay.
I kind of feel like this episode was more of a like introductory episode and to kind of like, hey, remember all these Hashira that you haven't seen in forever?
I've seen them.
Yeah. No, there was such a like, I don't know. I feel like it's been a while since we saw like a lot of them. So.
No.
It's nice to see them again.
It's unnecessary to do that for a show like an anime, Like I get it, like a little recap, but like to spend a whole episode not getting you excited, because Carlos is not excited. If Carlos is not excited, why would any of us?
Well,
We're like, okay.
Again, I love a good training session, in the movie especially, but I don't. But I don't think I can do 8 episodes of like just.
You're
training.
Downselling it here. Now I don't know if I want to watch it.
No, it's
so
good.
It's the best looking anime out there.
Yeah,
beautiful. They've gotten a little bit money hungry. It's what I feel with their movies. But the one thing I did saw this weekend that I almost texted you guys because I had such a good time watching it, but it was so depressing. It was the Iron Claw on HBO on Max. Oh, you saw it?
Yeah,
dude, so depressing, so sad. It was just I really highly recommend the movie. I do understand why Zac Efron didn't get nominated for anything.
Oh, yes. Okay.
But that doesn't mean the movie itself wasn't great. And the way he bulked up, that alone was like insane. Because I'm like, how can a man this beautiful become the living Hulk?
Yeah.
It was so crazy. Yeah,
Carney's in it too, right?
Carmi. Yeah, he didn't even look like an actual pro wrestler because pro wrestlers will have a little bit of fat on top of all that. Yeah. And dude was like cut and looked great. And again. He did great, but it was just one of those movies that was so depressing. Why do you always remind me of things that I did watch? Like Kingdom of Planet of the Apes. I saw that in the movie theaters.
That's right.
Beautiful movie if you love the series. Like if you again, Planet of the Apes in general is a beautiful story. Like in whatever reiteration you watch, like whatever movie you watch. But I think since like the James Franco movie, like this universe of Planet of the Apes, like I just love the storytelling. It feels like it's one of those movies that maybe not for everybody because it's so like storytelling. It feels like you're playing a solo like story game where you're just kind of developing, you're kind of learning the characters, you're living this world. But yeah, another one that's kind of like sad and just knowing kind of a little bit of the future of the franchise. You're already like just really excited to watch the next scene. But beautiful movie if you just want to watch some great CGI and beautiful like chimp action.
No, I do want to check it out because I saw the last 3 in the movie theater, and Matt Reeves did a great job with those 2. Yeah. So I really want to check out this one. So if it wasn't for, that Mad Max movie that's coming out that I'm just so freaking waiting for. Furiosa. Like I'm kind of saving my money for that because, it's gotten so expensive to go to the movie theaters.
Yeah.
Can I backtrack? I'm terrified of monkeys and chimps and apes. So they look too humanoid for me to be able to like thoroughly enjoy the movie because I keep thinking it's like a human, but then it's not. I know I would love the series human. If I did. Yeah, I can't. Even at the zoo, I can't look at the monkeys. I can't. Even the small ones that they have like people try and I can't do it.
Yeah. You would hate this movie because I mean in the progression of the story, they're getting to the part of the timeline when it's been a couple hundred years after like Caesar became smart, so they're already doing their shenanigans. But yes, then you have some of the bonobos, like the type of like freaking all the gorillas and all those are like huge dudes, and then you see them like throwing like humans around, and you're like nope.
No, thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm sure it's a wonderful movie and beautiful scenery, but no, please.
Is that your
horror movie? I like one of my biggest phobias is just monkeys, chimpanzees, anything in that like area.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this right now to sort of save your life, possibly, but don't ever watch the movie Nope, because that movie itself is about why you shouldn't put animals in front of people, or have people pet them and stuff like that. So that one will hunt you for a specific scene in that movie that happens early on.
I will take your word for it. I won't even touch it.
Even though
it's another great movie.
It probably was the best movie of that year for me.
That's a great movie. It's a great movie.
It was good, but I don't know the best movie of the year.
Yeah.
The phobia is too strong. I don't know. That and bees, can't do it.
And bees. Okay.
Yeah, bees. Haven't watched the Bee movie either.
Really? I was about to ask. I'm like, it's an animated movie.
It's too sexual.
For different reasons.
Yeah, don't watch the Bee movie.
It's a little too spicy. I don't know if I could watch it.
If you like the idea of a human being getting together with a bee, then go for it.
Right. I forgot.
Worst nightmare.
Yeah, it's funny because he just got booed over the weekend. Jerry Seinfeld, he was giving like a speech and people just boo. Yeah.
So many bad speeches this weekend. It's all right.
Yeah.
No politics.
Well, wasn't Kim Kardashian booed too? I don't know if you guys saw.
Oh yeah,
That was kind of funny.
Honestly, she's got to have like a lot of confidence. She did not walk off that stage. She just kept going. I was like, all right, girl, you go.
She's so used to it, but yeah.
True, yeah.
And I've watched the Kardashians because of my wife, so like I'm too familiar with them.
It's reality TV like that you watch it to where you're sitting there and thinking, you know what? I'm so happy I don't have that much money because look at them. Look at the dumb things that they're doing right now. It's just like, I'm sure they're great, sweet people, but it's just like...
Yeah, money can be a problem.
Yes.
At the end of the day, I always feel bad for the kids because I'm like, oh, what are those kids going to grow up to be and stuff? But, the last thing, and I swear this is it, the last thing that I watch, and it's sort of like Raul, like something that I've known about for years. I've always seen clips of it, and it always looks freaking great. And finally, like, I just kind of gave it a chance. And I fucking love it. I can only say I'm fucking loving it. It's called Fate Zero. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Oh, dude. So my sister's boyfriend has been like urging me, like almost bribing me to start watching it, but I just keep not watching it.
No, I thought it was going to be very like dumb, political, maybe good action scenes, but you have to like watch a lot of like 40 minutes of just talking or something very boring. I freaking love it, man. Like everything that's going on. And I sort of didn't pay very good attention in the first episode. So I'm a little confused as to like who's who or what's happening with the politics. It's very Game of Thrones, but I freaking like, I'm loving it. So I'm really glad that I started that journey. I don't even know how many seasons it is, but it's a show from like 2013. And so, so I'm having a blast with it.
There's a few different Fate series.
Yes.
And you're supposed to watch it in certain order that I always fuck up, which is why I haven't started it, honestly.
Well, I started with 2013 one, and I feel like that's the one that maybe gets you on board real quick.
Yeah. I think Fate Zero is supposed to be the first one that you watch, and then there's a bunch of other Fate ones that I don't know. I'll ask my sister.
Okay.
How about some little trashy romantic comedies on Netflix, like Mother of the Bride with Miranda Cosgrove? iCarly? No? I watched some random ass things too when we're like, well, I mean, fair. I was trying to get my wife to like watch TV instead of like clean and stuff. So we were like, hey, look, romantic comedy. And then it's also depressing because all the people in those movies have money. And that's why like these romantic comedies work so well. Because they're like, wait, you want to go to a trip to like Thailand or Bali? Let's go. Like, let's just fly out on a jet. Yeah, easy. You want to get married with a bunch of like freaking, I don't know, influencers. It was it's one of those movies. Entertaining to watch, but at the end of the day, I only mention it because I think this is funny.
I think Bridgerton came back, so that's probably something you're gonna watch, right, Ramon?
Bridgerton, yeah. I mean, I'll catch it with my wife. Not gonna go out of my way.
So what he's saying is she's gonna turn it on the TV and he's gonna act like he's not seeing it, but he's gonna be sitting in the back like, what did he say? What's going on right now?
Bridgerton, surprisingly, like I think I've seen a good like 3/4 of it, but there's those shows that I'm like, definitely not meant for me. I enjoy them because they're well
Love
written.
is Blind.
I mean, don't get me started on that. I love fucking trash. That's the real trash TV that I like. Love is Blind.
I love it.
Freaking The Ultimatum. Like,
yes.
All those.
See, Sylvia, this is why we needed somebody like you, because now you're bringing this different side of Ramon that I didn't even know he had. Like, I didn't know he was into all this trashy TV.
You know what I'm going to get you on next? It's called MILF Manor. You'll love it.
Oh my God.
Raul, that's a show for you, man. It's like perfect.
I see what you did it. No.
And then
my sister was watching it, and then she like told me all about it. So I saw like parts of it.
Parts of it, just like he saw parts of Bridgerton. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
No, and the funny part is that at work, like I have some people that are not into like the movies that we watch or anime or like nerdy stuff, right? But what they are into is like shows like that, like Love is Blind, The Ultimate, and all that stuff. So I'll constantly have these conversations with some of the girls that I work with, and they're like, "How come you don't talk about that in your podcast?" And I'm like, "Well, it's not really nerdy," and then convincing Carlos will be tough. But I mean, I don't know. This might be the way that we get into one of those shows.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think this new season that came out, I think you would like it.
See,
I heard so many things about it.
Sylvia, you're gonna be joining us next week for when we do, we're gonna do a review of, well, not really a review, but a discussion on Lucy, the 2014 movie. So that's really exciting because now all of a sudden, like, I just want to talk about that movie, and sadly, this is not the recording for it. But I mean, is there anything that you want to kind of leave off, say about yourself, or anything before you say goodbye to us and half our audience goes with you?
Oh, no. They should stay because who knows? I mean, maybe you guys will say something about me that I don't even know because obviously Raul hired me. So, maybe he'll put in some secrets, that I won't even know that you guys know about. But no, I'm really excited for next week. Yeah, some Easter eggs here and there. And then you'll mention it and I'll just agree to it because, paid actors here. But no, I'm really excited for next week. I have a lot to talk about Lucy. I just watched it a couple days ago, or I think yesterday, actually. My days are all mixed up in my head at this point, but I took some notes on it too, so I'm actually really excited.
Great. Have you seen it before this watch?
No, this was the first time I watched it. Yeah.
Awesome. I love when people watch something like that we've seen a few times for the first time because I mean, something fresh to discuss because me and Carlos have talked about that movie for like so many times.
Okay. Yeah. Then I have opinions.
Yeah, awesome.
I'll bring them.
Good.
A place to bring them to.
No,
thank you guys for having me, though. I appreciate the opportunity and you guys just wanting to get to know me too, especially on your podcast already.
Yeah. Why not, right? Just jump in here.
No, like written, like this is what we're doing. Just hey, can you just like come on in? We're gonna figure it out, right?
I mean, for those people that listen to us, they know that we're like super relaxed. I mean, we actually don't even do like multiple takes. It's like one go. Unless Raul disappears or Carlos just all of a sudden just like, I don't know, something happens. Yeah, we're pretty good.
Raul, it seems like you keep saying you're the problem. I don't know why. I mean, honestly.
Even though I saw a guy walk behind you just a couple of minutes ago in his, I want to say maybe his underwear.
And Raul's like, there's no one here.
Yeah.
You guys have podcast VODs. Everyone go back in time, watch it.
There you go.
Ramon, you caught it, right?
Yeah, I caught it. Okay. Well, see, little do you know, this is the interview for Raul's replacement. I'm just kidding. We love Raul, never leaving us. So just checking.
No, and Sylvia, I've made a lot of terrible choices and decisions in my life, but this is not one of them. I'm really happy.
Good. I'm happy
on this episode.
I wasn't a catfish.
Yes, I think that's what I'm more grateful for. But we'll definitely be excited to talk to you about next week. But again, thank you so much, and we'll keep talking on the Discord because I'm glad you're part of that as well.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys next week, and goodbye to everybody that's watching, listening, or anything like that. Bye.
Bye.
Man, that was awesome. Great. Yeah. Now that she's gone, we can really talk about her room. So what's up with only having one Squirtle?
You need more, Sylvia. You need more Squirtles.
Yeah. My daughter's my daughter's sleeping with a giant Eevee, two Bulbasaurs, baby Squirtle. Yeah.
Well, to the next week, I think by next week, maybe not next week, but in 2 weeks. So, like, if you guys see the pink behind me, like, this is gonna become a little bit of a nursery. So I gotta relocate this whole setup, my gaming setup, my recording setup. So I will finally be in my basement, which is not a dungeon. It's not where I keep
all the Batmans.
It's with all the Batmans, all the Squirtles, all that stuff. So see a little bit more of those fun things. So I don't know if I'll have the right angle, but at least it'll be like a moodier plays, so it'll be good.
I'm excited. You might actually have to grab your camera and kind of give the audience a little bit preview
tour.
of all your good stuff, man. Because that's just like a museum down in your basement.
I've been waiting to record it for so long.
Dragons.
One of these days. I did find that one Dungeons and Dragon map for you, Raul. So I got to give that to you too. See?
Oh yeah.
All the basements start cleaning. So yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, this episode, when I do put it up, it's gonna go under X-Men 97s. So I think we should start talking about it because
probably,
yeah. So if anybody's keeping timestamps at the 27-minute mark, that's when the conversation actually starts. But let's get to it, man. How sexy was Magneto on a grade from 1 to 10?
And then the freaking like change the costume was like a great idea because like you wanted to hate it, but you're like, damn boy, like ooh.
Like I was thinking about it today. I was like, was I dreaming, or was he in his underwear in the last episode when he shut the power off to the whole planet?
Oh yeah.
I
don't know. He might have been.
He was. He was. Speedo. Yeah. That was great. No,
I know we're gonna start talking about it, but I was just so glad we're talking about this already. But the animation, I'm like so glad that it's better than the last season of the old show because I remember that being crap. So I'm like, ooh, this is good. It was good. One of the number one reasons.
I like that it was like the same style, but just better.
Yeah. Everything felt the same. There's so many times where they'll say like, "Hey, we're bringing back a show," and I get excited, but at the end of the day, once it comes back, I'm like, that was all right, or that could have been better, or I'm a little disappointed. X-Men 97, I don't know what the magic like sprinkle formula is for this, a secret ingredient, but it just, every episode was amazing. Every episode was great. Every time I'm thinking like, oh, this is going to be like a plot story episode, and I'm okay with that. All of a sudden, like the last 10 minutes are freaking insane, and I'm like, oh my God, like how could this have gone from like already being a 10 to like a freaking 20? Go ahead, Ro, you were going to say something?
The reason why it's so good is because they kept as many people as they could from the original show.
I think so.
Yeah.
Including voice cast and like producers and writers and everybody.
You're talking about like the people behind it.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, yeah, because besides the voice actors.
Well, one of them did get fired. And I don't know if you guys like knew that, but one of them did get fired because I guess he had an OnlyFans.
One of the animators.
Yeah, one of the. Yeah.
Can't do a side hustle nowadays. They always got to come after you for one thing or another. Kidding.
It's Disney.
No, so I mean, like, yeah, just so we get started. Like, I was happily surprised by this show. I think, like you said, Carlos, I think the number one thing that really did it was that it felt the same. Like, it felt the same. It had the same feels. Like, I remember watching, like I said, X-Men, but not just in '92, but like the next few years after that. And it's just like, it's one of the most memorable shows, not only because I was already into like comics, but it's just a lot of the stories watching this because it borrowed some from the old show too. Like, I don't know. It felt like I was like, did I see this already? Like, this is very familiar. And then, yeah, of course, they did borrow a little bit from the old show. They rewrote some new stuff. They changed some things around. And then they're taking stories that I've been dying to see, like, I guess, well, animated, but in any shape or form that the movies couldn't do for me. And here they are in this freaking animated show, and beautifully, like, some key moments that I just remember, like, drawing when I was younger, because I used to draw a lot of like these moments where, like, Wolverine, Magneto took the adamantium away from Wolverine. Like, that was one of my favorite scenes. Xavier and freaking Magneto and the head clash. I used to have like a beautiful like comic card that they're just sitting there like going against each other, and I just remember these moments being so epic to me. And then now with the show, like, dude, yeah, like I finished it and I'm like, what? That was insane. That was great.
Yeah.
Great.
No, I think something that I loved about it too is that they took plots from the original that for whatever the reason, even after like however many seasons, they never really answer them. And in this season, they just did them. Like, for example, when that episode when the other Jean Grey shows up, I'm like, in another, if this would have been back in the day, that would have been like the final episode of the season, and that would have been like the big reveal. Here, they just got it out of the way in the first like 3 episodes. Yeah. And then I love the fact that they finally acknowledge like Cable, like this is Cyclops and Jean Grey's like son.
This
like
is
I'm
Nathan,
like, I'm like, finally, like we've all known this since like even in the 90s, we all knew this. So just the fact that like they wasted no time in actually being like, yeah, like I'm your son, and you actually got to see that relationship. That was the kind of stuff that I really enjoyed, and like, I
forgot to look it up. Was Josh Brolin the voice of Cable?
I don't know.
It sounded like him.
No. It sounded like him, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
I was thinking about him, especially in that last episode, because maybe that is Wyro, because maybe he sounded a little bit too much like him. But I was like, man, this is like this.
I was gonna look it up, but I forgot, so I'm gonna do it now.
And I only know that it probably wasn't him because I know they've asked him about the Deadpool movie, the new one, and they asked him like, "Hey, are you coming back as Cable?" And he's like, "No, for whatever the reason, they didn't give me a call." So that kind of sucks. Yeah,
the second season of Outer Range is here already, so
Wait,
maybe
what?
I just found out today, or I got a message. Either it's out already, or it's coming out like very soon.
Dude, okay, that's a show that me and you loved, and Ro, I don't know if we can get you on board to watch it, but it's one that we went gaga for. Yeah, it was great.
Just think
it's of Prime, isn't it?
Just think of Josh Brolin's Hole, and you'll be like, I want to watch that. I want to see that. Like,
I'm in.
Yeah. No,
but no, I don't know, man. I love X-Men 97. I don't know. I think part of, again, nostalgia is like huge. But I don't know, they just did it so well. Like you said, I think part of what worked is that every episode, like, not that they were all seemed like they were like a little individual stories, but there was a lot of episodes that had their own stories. But like with Goblin Queen, the clone of Jean Grey, like that was a great episode because it was, like you said, within 2 episodes, they covered all that, right? And it was good, and you got it. And then later when you saw her in freaking, oh my god, what's that country? Genosha?
Madeline.
You're already like, oh yeah, cool, like I know her, right? But then even like Jubilee's story was also great too, because here's a character that we grew up with and always made fun of because all she did was dazzle dazzle, razzle dazzle, sparkle. And in that episode with Jubilee and Mojo, like, it was not that it was like, oh my gosh, she's super powerful, but oh my goodness, did she do some awesome stuff. And it was like exciting, it was involved, like it rejuvenated the character to where like anyone watching this show now wouldn't even have those like old like concerns of being like, oh, Jubilee sucks, like she's just, you know, the kid in the group.
I kind of like that they're doing that. They're almost taking inspiration from, like, I think My Hero Academia does it, where like they have the powers, but they're also, those powers can evolve. You know, have
the power.
Yeah, because I think even for Wolverine, like, you know, I was getting sort of spoilers that because now he doesn't have the metal, his powers or his genes might actually start evolving into something else, which is gonna create something that I don't want to spoil in this episode. But it's like, okay, I'm very interested in that.
Well, even things like Gambit, like we've never seen Gambit fucking power up Wolverine like that. And that was probably one of the biggest, cool. Like, what? That's crazy because, again,
he's probably the only one that he can do that with.
Yeah, because he can probably take the effect and he's not going to, like, you know, take crazy damage. But it's like, you know, the fact that the show did it, and I'm glad, like you said, Raul, that they have a lot of their original people working on this. But I don't know, we come a long way since 92. So these people have better ideas, like not necessarily the technology, but like there was a lot of action scenes in this animation that were like, wow, cool. Like they wouldn't have done that in 92 because there was no way that they would have thought that complex. You know, everything was like pretty like straightforward. And even though it was X-Men and it's crazy and you have Sentinels and you know, all kinds of stuff blowing up and going all over the place, I just felt like some of these episodes were like beyond incredible with how much was involved in it.
Yeah, like I know. No, go ahead.
To kind of go off of what you're saying a little bit, and also one of the things that I really liked that the show kind of came back on, because in the movie Cyclops was kind of lame, but in this show, like I always loved Cyclops.
Yeah,
he was one of my favorite X-Men, and I grew up with X-Men. It was like my favorite thing to watch pretty much. And then right in the first episode you see like Cyclops kind of like boosting himself around with his beam and stuff like that, and that alone, like scenes like that, and then like some of the fight scenes, especially like when Rogue punched the Sentinel guy, like how, the way that they animated all that stuff, that they wouldn't have done it in the 90s.
No, and I think one of your messages when you first watched the first episode for the first time, you're like, Guys, I cried on the first episode, bro. Which is God, like, yeah. I'm pretty sure you're not the only one. And I didn't cry in the first episode, but I will tell you, for some reason, I cried on the last episode. And I'm trying to think which part made me cry, but there was a part in the second episode, and it could have been the Xavier Magneto relationship. But there was something in that episode that made me cry that I just can't recall right now.
Yeah. But to your point, Raul, like I think Cyclops is a great person to start with in a sense of like, if we're going to talk a little bit more about certain characters that we like. I agree. Like Cyclops is always one of those that even as a kid, I just loved his abilities. But I think the movies ruined him for us because the movies made him even more.
They didn't know what to do with him.
They were like, he's a stickler, like he's very uptight, like he's just always like, you know, the father figure who's like doesn't want to do anything, and you know. But it's like, not that I remember like him, especially now that I rewatched some of the episodes from like the 92 version, he was just always like that overprotective like older brother, and he was always looking out for the team, and he was, you know, because he was one of the original X-Men, he was definitely had that responsibility. And it's like this show did it so good also on that note of being like, hey, you know, Xavier's gone, like Professor X is gone, so I should be responsible. And obviously the fact that he picked Magneto to take over the X-Men kind of sucked, but it's like, I don't know, like his persona really worked, like his character really worked in this. But yes, like you said, his abilities were displayed so awesomely in that first episode. I think that is the first thing I told you, Carlos. I'm like, dude, like fucking Cyclops, like everything he was doing, like I don't remember him doing anything like that. I mean, he did, but nothing like that, like fancy and like spinning and doing all these things. And you know, like to watch that first episode and be like, oh, this is gonna be like so much better, or it's such a different thing. Like it's just they haven't done that in the movies, and it's so great that they did it on the show, because at least for us that are fans are like, oh, okay, great, thank you so much. Like fuck those movies.
I think there's like a big people, like there's a lot of people right now saying that they should cast Glenn Powell as you know, live action Cyclops.
Ooh,
and you know, after seeing that movie over the weekend, Ramon, Anything But You, I'm like,
I saw it too.
Yeah, like I think he would be perfect for it. I think he's just like, he's charming, he's freaking like, you know, looks great, and he actually does kind of sort of remind me. He can be
serious from Top Gun.
Yeah, like, you know, if Marvel's sweating the fact they don't have Chris Evans anymore and they don't have Captain America, like Cyclops is your replacement if you do it right. Like that is the guy you want to put up in the front.
He's a master strategist también.
Yeah.
I don't know why I busted out Spanish.
Yeah, también.
Whatever that means. Somebody that got like a really cool action scene that sort of became very popular after the second X-Men movie was Nightcrawler. So I was very happy when Nightcrawler came back and the way he did his teleportation, especially that part where he takes Wolverine with him and you sort of see the perspective through Wolverine's eyes. Like I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I'm just happy they didn't make him as preachy as they did in the old show. Remember, because he was like a monk. I mean, he is a monk, but like, he was a monk, and the whole time, like, things would happen, and he would start, like, reciting verses and telling people to follow God and all these things. And I'm like, okay.
Well, dude, this on this last episode, they got away with him actually saying a verse from, like, you know, a prayer. I forget, you know, exactly what he used, but it was like he used like either the very end of the prayer, and I was like, oh man, like they're actually bringing almost religion into the show, which I was really impressed with. And what did you think about when he did the thing for Gambit? Did you find it funny the way he incorporated like cards?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's where I was expecting he was gonna do more of that religious stuff, because he was perfect. He was doing like the whole like eulogy and everything else for Gambit, but instead he went with jokes. I'm like, okay.
I thought it was pretty funny the way it's like, oh, you always had a poker face, but I don't know, but it was just, you guys cracked me up.
It was good. I mean, he was always one of those like great ones, and I don't know, I'm glad that they still kind of show the relationship between his like adopted sister
Him and Rogue,
and it's just one of those things that it's nice because that still has potential as a story, right? Because they did not have Mystique in this show.
They did not, you're right.
So if Mystique comes out, then it's something we got to deal with eventually. And you know, the Mystique ties into like freaking Sabretooth also, and there's a lot of ties, and that's what I love about X-Men. Like you can literally go in any direction with what story to tell, which I have a lot to say about where the story ended and where we're going with it, but I'll save that for later.
You know, I was so excited for who we got that I just never even thought about who we didn't get. And you're right, like we never got Sabretooth, we never got Mystique, we never got Iceman, so it's just kind of
Quicksilver, Angel.
Yeah. I want to see Havoc, Cyclops' brother. Yeah, like I kind of want to see more of him.
Well, and talking about all those characters, they were saying that we really appreciated that Morph. Not that he got redone. I love his like little remake of his face because I hated his old face from the old show.
Yeah.
But I think Morph, they did it so well this thing because like this show, because they gave us all a lot of the cameos that we could have desired, right? Like when he was Psylocke, I got so excited because I thought Psylocke was in it. I'm like, oh yes, let's stare some Psylocke. And then no, it was like, oh freaking Morph. I'm like, damn Morph, like get the fuck out of here.
The real Psylocke though.
Yeah, we
did for a little bit. Yeah. Let's see, that wasn't like but no, but that's what I'm saying. So
we
like
got two Spider-Mans, in the costume and without the costume.
Without the costume in that scene, it took me a second for that one too, because then like it passed right now. Obviously, I thought civilians, but then I was like, wait a minute, rewind, and then I'm like, oh shit, that's like Peter Parker.
Jane first, and then him.
Now that I'm thinking about it, technically Mary Jane shouldn't have been with him unless there's been a time skip and now she's back, because the way that Spider-Man ended, Mary Jane was a clone and she was just like gone, and the real Mary Jane she went through that portal. We never know what happened to her, so like sorry.
Well, I mean,
maybe the shows aren't connected even though they use the same characters from them.
Well, that's the like one thing that people That's the one thing people have been saying, the fact that the Fantastic Fours were part of the show, the fact that Iron Man, they're saying they're all connected, they're all in the same universe. So I'm like, that's exciting, man. That makes me even more excited too for like all these potential ones that we could be getting back.
Mm-hmm. And then Spider-Man, the animated series, had the X-Men for at least like an episode or two in the end.
Yeah,
because he was like, I don't want to be Punisher. A freak. Yeah, but what I'm saying, because we were talking about Spider-Man, because he was just like, so like I remember that he didn't want to be a mutant, like he wasn't calling himself a mutant, but he was like, I don't want to be a freak. And that whole point of that episode was like basically to convince him that he should be kind of part of the X-Men / just be proud of him being a mutant. But I don't know. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that they were doing back then that now is just like, why they should do that now? Like, why not in the next season of X-Men we throw like one Spider-Man episode in there and just have some crazy.
I don't know.
No. Marvel. I think Marvel owns the rights for like the animated stuff.
The
animated stuff. Dude, it's kind of crazy because like you talk about greatest crossovers, and like that one happened so early, and probably not a lot of people talk about the fact that the X-Men and Spider-Man like did an episode together. Because I remember Wolverine and Spider-Man went against each other, and that was like a big deal. Because in the comics, they're always like that shot of them going against each other.
Well, it's funny. Just like to talk about the greatness about X-Men as a general whole, like that's what I love about X-Men. Because if you think about it, like Batman, Superman, like Spider-Man, all these animated series are like centric around that character, right? Like it's all about Spider-Man's world, like Batman's world, like Superman's world. But X-Men is literally a cluster F of like everyone that you love, and it's all these like obviously we haven't even talked about like the main point of X-Men in general, but like I love that you do get a bunch of characters that you love, characters that you hate, and literally every episode is like a big old dance of these people, and it's a different vibe than the solo hero or the vigilante or just kind of the troubled alien that needs to save Earth, but obviously he's from Krypton. And so I don't know, like I do love that we get that diversity, but this is the show, man. This is the show, and that's why I hated so much that some of these, like, I'm not even gonna say younger generations, these people that don't know X-Men were giving it so much shit in the beginning because they don't understand that X-Men's always been about like inclusivity, like being part of that community, and kind of getting away from the hate, getting away from the freaking like everything that just has to do with that prejudice and stuff. And this I don't know, this season did great at it.
People that are different from you.
And
just because I'm bald, Raul, leave me alone.
Yeah. Well, in the original, Jubilee was sort of that introduction to like the audience about like who the X-Men are. And this season, it was sort of Sunspot, and I kind of was a little bit annoyed by him. Like, I like his powers and I liked what he can do. The characters that was a little bit whiny in the beginning.
Well, they made him like Jubilee.
Did you ever watch the movie, the New Mutants?
I have not. You're talking about Generation X? Oh no, you're talking about. Oh no,
with Anya Taylor-Joy and the dude from Stranger Things and
Sunspot in that. I forget.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah.
He was in that, and Magic and the Cannonball guy.
Yeah.
Puck.
Well, that movie only got pushed 5 times, so and I finally saw it. It just kind of went out the other.
Yeah. But to your point, Carlos, like, you're right. That was the new Jubilee, because I was actually not unimpressed, but I've seen some of the stuff that he's done in the comics. But in this show, like, he never was more than what Jubilee was in the old show. Because even at the end, when he's like kind of saving Jubilee and trying to do all this stuff, like his like powers are like nothing. Like they just don't do a lot.
How do they not burn her?
At this point, that's what I'm saying. At this point, so they kind of kept her simple. But then you also reminded me that other show did start with Jubilee. Like that was how the whole thing started.
That's what it was. Yeah. Her in
I've been watching it with my son from the original.
Something I liked in the first episodes when the Sentinels came out were that they were actually acknowledging that some of these mutants are like Omega level, like they were like Storm Omega level, and I'm like, hell yeah, like finally we got an acknowledgement that
Magneto Omega level.
Magneto. Iceman's gonna be an Omega level one. So it's just like cool to know that there are these mutants that are just so powerful themselves that they're almost like an atomic, not having an arsenal of atomic bombs, but yeah, then themselves can do pretty crazy things.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you guys, do you think that maybe part of the reason why right now this show is so good is because you could tell they well, for me, I feel like they're taking formulas from some anime and current animation. Because like I feel like some of these story plots, like when we're talking about it, obviously X-Men's existed before. We already know X-Men, but this one did feel like you said My Hero Academia earlier, and it kind of did give me a My Hero Academia feel a little bit. And again, given that My Hero Academia is probably based off of like X-Men to some degree, but it's like I think like the writing and everything felt like that. It felt good. It felt like some people were powering up as other people were kind of just like being who they are. Like Scott, who was like just fearless leader and really well at this point, I guess he was just trying to not to fall apart. Especially because he was dealing with the whole baby mama and which baby mama. But no, like even like towards the end when you saw like those scenes of like Magneto and he's doing his powers, like you have that anime animation where it's like the different frames of like solid colors, like white, black, colored, black, white, colored. And I was just like, dude, they're totally borrowing from like anime right now because like I've never seen this in X-Men animation in the past.
Well, you know what's something that My Hero Academia doesn't have that X-Men does? It's that damn theme song, man. Every time, dude. It was just like like how does it do it, dude? Every time it gives me goosebumps, and it's just like nothing else that I can compare in my life, like can affect me like that in every single time I hear it. And then in the last episode, they did like a different sound to it. Like, I don't know if you guys caught that, but it was almost like, and I'm like, where can I download that version of it? Because I thought that was done really well too.
Yeah, dude, and the angels changed kind of with the characters. Yeah, like with Bishop, and then with Nightcrawler. And then they had Sunspot doing the whole thing with the fence instead of Jubilee.
Oh, wow. Good catch.
Yeah, and then I like random other stuff like that.
I like the Sinister like introduction.
Like almost Sinister.
Dude, he's so cool, and he's somebody that we should have gotten in the Fox movies, but sadly we didn't. I don't know.
Maybe we will in the future.
I always hinted at him, especially in the last ones, like Logan and I forget which other one hinted about him, but they never did him.
I mean, he's such a critical role in the old series. I'm glad to see that in this one he kind of is. Obviously, they played him as freaking Bastion's puppet. But I think in general, like, obviously he had his own agenda. It just never came to fruition, or at least we didn't see that. It was all about Bastion, which I want to talk about Bastion because he was cool. But no, but Mr. Sinister was one of those characters that in the comics, in the cards, I always thought he looked cool. Carlos, when we talked about him, why he didn't join the movies, I always thought it was more about a character design. Like, he has such a complex costume, even though the movies kind of not always do like the costumes like the way that they were in the comics. I don't know. Like, I feel like they never figured it out. Like, how do we do Mr. Sinister without like taking away like all the?
I'm looking at you, Silver Samurai.
Silver Samurai is fucking awesome.
Yeah, but they did a freaking robot version of him.
Well, I know the robot version, but still, like, I mean, they did that much, and then they couldn't do like Mr. Sinister.
No. I mean, Ro, like anything that like really for you stood out about this season?
A couple of things, and this is going to be kind of a hot take, and I don't know if it's just me or if it like really happened. But I don't know what happened with Rogue's like voice. Not necessarily her voice, but like the way that she talks. She felt like.
Dude, I was concerned you were gonna talk about her butt. I was like, bro, pull up,
no, her voice, like, and kind of like the way that she spoke felt like it was an imitation of like a bad imitation of the original show. Just like they kind of overdid it a little bit with the accent and all that stuff.
I know that some of them did get recast, at her probably being one of them.
It was stuff with
the writing would have still been similar to the past, but I feel like I don't know, it just felt off. It didn't feel, it felt like not kind of like Bizarro Rogue.
Yeah.
I'm here for the Rogue hatred because she did cheat on my man Gambit, and he
I
just
know.
didn't deserve that at all.
No.
So
Especially when he was about to die.
I love Gambit.
That's okay. When he comes back, we're just on. He's gonna
we got that confirmation.
Yeah, we did get the confirmation as one of the 4 horsemen. But no, like that's one of the things. I don't know. Like I didn't want to be stuck too much on voices because I don't know. Like it's difficult, right? For me, Xavier was the one that I was like, I didn't love his voice, and I don't know like how much different it was than the other one, but it's just to me like I don't know. Like this is one of those characters that maybe in my head for as long as I've been into X-Men, I've always like heard him differently. But anyway, again, I wasn't stuck on voices. It's just now that you mentioned it, I'm like, yeah, Xavier was the one for me. I was like, doesn't sound like Xavier to me, or at least it didn't feel right. Also, because he was up with Alondra doing his thing and ignoring what was going down on Earth. So,
okay, guys, when they were showing that Bastian's future of what would happen if he like conquered the planet and stuff, that shit looked great, man. I'm like, oh man, I'm like, why don't we let that happen? That looks so like peaceful and the world just looks so like beautiful. And I'm like, wait, we're trying to stop that? Like, why are we trying to stop that? Especially because like in My Hero Academia, that's what they're touching upon. The whole idea that like powers themselves just keep evolving and getting more dangerous, and the world itself is probably gonna get destroyed if this continues. So I'm like, I sort of see the idea, even though like don't put me in any kind of category. I see the idea of like why mutants probably could be dangerous.
Yeah,
Oh no.
I mean, obviously, again, X-Men being about that and kind of in a sense they're always dealing with the future, right? The pending future, and especially because we're dealing with like humans. I mean, humans and mutants like trying to coexist and the hatred and all that good stuff, like or bad stuff, I should say. But it's like I don't know. I feel like Bastion to me was like a surprise because again, wasn't super familiar with Bastion, and I think it was a good like villain for this series that's supposed to be like refreshed, that's supposed to kind of captivate you. Because if they would have gone straight into like all about Mr. Sinister or Apocalypse, or again we'll talk about even like Onslaught making an appearance later, perhaps. But it's like, but again, this is kind of good because I think Bastion, for being not very familiar to some people, like he did a great job. Like the whole idea, like the whole idea that he's not even like a mutant or a human technically, like he's kind of like the merge
born of a
cyborg kind of from Nimrod, right? And then it's just like
I could have used more Nimrod too.
Well, they minimized them like nothing. It was just like, oh, like the son of Nimrod, and I'm like, wait, dude, no, Nimrod's like fucking also. Like, and it's like I don't know. Like to me, it was great because I think in a factor of like humans against humans, like we are in this world, and we have fucking wars and people racism and all kinds of shit. The other upcoming force is AI right now, right? So to me, it was like a perfect like kind of segue into the reality. It's like not only do we have right if that's the one you're worried about, but no, I mean like it's just a good segue about like, hey, it's not just us fighting with each other and us like possibly blowing up the world. We're generating this like technology to a point where it could be the one who decides, hey, you guys are obsolete, like fuck you guys, like we'll set off the nukes and then all of a sudden we're all dead. But no, I don't know, I just thought he was a cool villain, and he was awesome. Like I liked the fight with him. Like he made it believable that I'm like, cool, these guys cannot take him easily. They were all fucking beat up. They were just struggling.
When they were fighting all those Sentinel people, I'm like, how are they gonna get out of this? Like this is like a no-win situation.
They regenerate and everything.
When the first one punched freaking Rogue, like that explosion and the fact that Rogue was knocked out, like Rogue. Oh man, like this is that they would have like let you know that they were just gonna be some serious stuff.
That was weird that she did kill that guy. That's where I always thought at the end of the season it was gonna go like time travel back and all this gets undone. But no, like it seems like it's gonna continue forward with everything that happened. So like this idea that like Rogue already kind of crossed the line. I'm like, man, like I am a little bit like against Rogue right now. I just feel like she did a lot of things that I just can't get behind.
But again, I think it was building to it because again, Gambit hadn't died in the other like another like in the past, right? Even when he became one of the 4 horsemen of Apocalypse, I think he was alive and he went to Apocalypse. So like to me, that reiteration of like that whole idea of like Gambit dying and being like new fuel for like Rogue and creating more chaos, like I was for it, because again, something new, something different. And then again, just the fact that I didn't expect for Gambit to die. But it was definitely like a very Kakashi moment where I'm like, that's not gonna be it, but like that sucks.
There's a meme that I'm gonna send you guys after the recording, but it was sort of when Wolverine stabbed Magneto, and the meme was like, this guy got shot or stabbed, and it's like, call an ambulance. But then in the next shot, he gets up and pulls out a gun. It's like, but not for me. Meaning, you think like Wolverine stabs Magneto, and then all of a sudden Magneto's like freaking ripping Wolverine's
insides out.
Insides out. So it's like, it's hilarious, this idea of like, yeah, call an ambulance, but not for me, for that guy.
I'm so glad they showed that. Like, it's just one of the most like, epic moments ever. Especially like if you follow Wolverine's like whole like story, like that's just a moment that's like so significant for him.
Dude, that's another thing we should talk about. The fact that Wolverine was never in the front of any episode, really. He was always just the side character or the side player. And it's just like, it made the show a lot better making that decision. Because another showrunner would have been like, no, Wolverine's who everybody loves. We got all of a sudden make this show the Wolverine show. And it's just, that's not what it was at all.
But we got, I mean, I think they're doing it right. And I think, again, factor being that a lot of the people are the same, like Raul said, because it's like we already got a lot of the Wolverine stories. Like we saw him kind of like through the past.
Everything with Sabretooth and
falling in love with Lady Deathstrike. I forget her real name, Mariko. And all this stuff.
Yuriko.
And it's just like, no, not Yuriko. I think it was like Mariko. I thought it was an M. Either way,
Mariko?
Lady Deathstrike eventually.
Yeah.
But still, like, I don't know. Like, I think like Wolverine, you have so much of him out there. Like, people who know X-Men, they think Wolverine is X-Men. And I'm just like, no. So I'm glad, like you said, like, he was also kind of toned down. But to have such an epic moment for him there was just, like, great. I mean, I got kind of sad for him, but it's such a great moment for us. When you got
Gambit, when you got Iceman, we got all these incredible people with incredible powers. How is Wolverine like your favorite?
Storm. A little short roid rage dude. It's like,
even Marvel vs. Capcom, I hated playing as him because his life, for a guy that could heal, I feel like he gets killed really quick when you're using him in Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah. I just, again, he's one that I'm a sucker for his backstory, like all his years, his love interest, like when he was with, like all his other guys. But I mean, no, I think that was good.
Plus all the decades he's been alive.
Yeah. Decades. I mean, he hung out with Captain America back in the day, and I guess probably in the.
Well, we are gonna get him in Deadpool, so it's all cool. Like, if you guys wanted more Wolverine, you will get him, and
I'm looking forward to it.
It sounds like he might be a good Wolverine. I mean, obviously good Wolverine.
It's funny because so like I the X-Men animated show was my favorite show growing up. Like that and Spider-Man, that's what I grew up on. That was my jam. So when I first heard that Hugh Jackman was gonna play Wolverine, I was upset because Hugh Jackman was tall. And it bothered me so much. Yeah.
No, there was
originally when he was cast in the first X-Men movie that I was super hyped about, and I was like, "What? He's too big to be Wolverine." But it turned out okay.
I don't know. I still don't. I mean, yes, he turned out okay, but I still don't see him as like a great Wolverine. Like, I don't know who it would be either, because like I don't know. Think of a man that stature, that like attitude, and
Edgerton.
Who did you say?
Taron Egerton. Isn't that his name?
Oh, that's his, I know who you're talking about. From from Kingsman. Yeah. No, I don't know, man. I like the movies, like the Wolverine we got in the movies. It's kind of like a different world, different story, with that Wolverine, because I do feel like a lot of the movies that I do like from X-Men, like they were all very like Wolverine heavy, like Days from Future Past, like, I freaking love that. Like, it's just, to me, that's almost like a perfect comic book movie. Just everything about it, the way Magneto lifts that stadium and drops it, and Magneto just continues to be like this incredible character. I was sort of, bro, you mentioned how you were disappointed when Wolverine got cast as you being this tall actor. I was sort of disappointed when Magneto got cast as like some old man, because I'm like, that's not Mike Magneto. Magneto fucks, because this Magneto looks freaking great, and like we get what's his name, and he's great. He's an awesome actor. Now I actually do appreciate
Ian McKellen.
Yeah, now I actually do appreciate the fact that he was Magneto. But when I was a young lad, I was just like, why is he so old? Like, why do we get this old? Yes, Michael, exactly. That's my actual, like, how I see Magneto.
That's my Magneto.
That's my Magneto. Like, Magneto was great in this show. I think, like, he played, I mean, it was a lot of the same of the older show. Like, he even has, like, freaking, what is it called? Oh my God, his bass. Why am I not? Can't think of it.
Oh yeah,
His fate.
the
asteroid, the
I'm
asteroid.
sure.
Asteroid M.
Asteroid.
Like that was something that they did already in the old. They already did it in the old show, and like for a while I was getting a little nervous, but like like he's just the complex character. Like he's I mean him and Professor Xavier. That's X-Men, right? That's the whole story of X-Men. Like two ideologies that conflict. They both want to get to a point where kind of we're making a better world for like mutants, but in reality, both different ways of attaining them. And I don't know, he did just as great. I love that they gave him the opportunity to kind of run the X-Men and see what he did.
Yeah.
I was all for it. I thought it was a kind of cool story. And then at the end, to get him to get to the same point that he's gotten in the past. But yeah, the crazy shit that he does, like when he freaking like knocks out all the like a giant EMP, basically. He's just like like completely shuts down Earth. That was great.
Actually seeing how like those Sentinels took over the White House and took over a lot of like, important places. So they were attacking like other countries. Now I actually feel like when Magneto did that, like world leaders could have had a conversation like, hey, like he did this, but the reason why he did it is because all of a sudden now we have these people, these human beings that we don't know who has this this way of turning into the Sentinels. Like, yeah, there should have been more of a discussion on like, hey, he probably did the right thing. Let's figure out a solution for that problem. And then once we have the solution, like activate the like, dude, like they totally were.
Let's talk to each other through birds.
What? Wait,
how are they going to figure it out? Each individual country would have to figure out their own thing.
For a moment, I thought you were talking about freaking Demon Slayer.
Yeah, through the crows or the ravens or whatever.
You see the new episode, that freaking crow has like dialogue for like 5 minutes.
No. Not excited whatsoever.
It was kind of cool though.
Yeah,
he had a little cool scar.
Voice, he
had a cool little scar.
Before we talk about Magneto and kind of like towards the end again, did you guys love that they fucking went to their retro costumes? Like I love that. Yeah, obviously it started with Storm, like Aurora, like where her like obviously when she
with the hair back.
Yeah. And then I was like, ooh, okay, going retro, let's go, like original. And then all of a sudden, all of them. And I love the way that they did it. Yeah. It's like, freaking the Academy was gone. And all of a sudden, it was like, we need backups.
Jean Grey, seeing her use her powers like against Cable and against Mr. Sinister when he she fought him. Like that was really cool, man. And I guess we got confirmation that she was the Phoenix, like she was the one, not the clone. So now I want somebody to send me a video when possibly she got switched, because I am a little bit curious about when that happened.
That's the thing that like nobody really knows. Just it must have been sometime after Phoenix.
Okay.
You think that's where they got the whole Beth and Beth?
I was thinking about that. I was just thinking about
they got the what?
Rick and Morty.
Keep watching.
See. No, yeah. I don't know. It was good. Like seeing the Phoenix come back and obviously under a controlled state was like wonderful because super powerful and all that stuff. But no, I mean, yeah. So back to the end and kind of like the whole idea of like when Xavier and Magneto were going against each other because obviously Xavier's trying to stop Magneto. Like obviously, like that's how like Onslaught gets created, so to speak. It's like an emergence of both of them. And like, dude, like I guess it wouldn't have been like the greatest.
It could still be.
Well, that's what I'm thinking now. Now that we decided to go with like, oh, hey, let's reintroduce Apocalypse. He's the bad guy again, even though he was already the bad guy in the old show. But it's like the idea of like, oh, cool. Now we have to possibly face Apocalypse, which are gonna do so good with him. I think the show because obviously they're doing so good already. But then if freaking Magneto and Xavier become Onslaught, and it just becomes like a whole, they feed him, but then at the same time, then that becomes a problem because I know ultimately he starts like taking in more people and like I don't know.
I have to see like that character come to the screen because there's I've seen him so many times in my life, and he looks freaking cool. And I know really nothing about him. Like I don't really know how he was made, how he is made, what his powers are, other than maybe being a combination of Magneto and Xavier. So I want it, man. Like I need it. I would pay extra to get that on a side episode if I have to unlock it. But I really want to see that. It
was basically a moment like that, like Xavier's trying to get into Magneto's head and to stop him, and then
it was perfect. It was all set up there.
But I mean, again, I get it because that would have been like again such a crazy character to introduce. So it would have been like, okay, I'm happy with Apocalypse. Yeah.
Ramon, I have a really important thing to talk to you about. This is just like not realistic. This is just me saying like, hey, in this scenario, what would happen? So you made it a point to say you're having a baby. So what if you have the baby, 2 years go by, and then your real wife shows up in the front door of your steps and it's like, that was my clone you've been with this past 2 years. What do, man? Do you stay with the clone even after you kick her out? And you say like, I just miss my clone wife, or do you stay with the real wife? Like these last 2 years you've been raising a kid with this fake one. Like, what do you do?
I think the real question is, would Ramon still be alive?
No, not afterwards. But I'd say trouble. Let's go.
Oh, Cyclops was still emotionally attached to Madeline. Yeah.
I mean, I get it, and I think it's like a great dilemma to add it to a show because, like, especially because we don't know where they freaking got switched. So it's like Scott would never really know when that happened. But all he knows is that freaking Madeline is freaking Nathan's freaking mother, and that's enough. I love the scene where like freaking Jean Grey caught him kind of cheating.
Cheating. Yeah.
and I was just like funny, but I just didn't expect that whatsoever. And I'm like, you got caught. Like, oh, that sucks. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, if you really thought about that, that'd be complicated because it's so like
complicated. Yeah.
I mean, I would love to say that like one of the versions of my wife wouldn't want to explore her own life afterwards, but it's like, I mean, I love my wife enough that I'm like, 2 might cost my death, but in general, that's the person I'm already used to. I mean, I can handle 2 maybe.
Yeah. I guess the only way that works in a positive outcome is if like you're already like, you and your current clone wife are like so over each other and can't stand each other, and all of a sudden like your real wife just up like, thank God,
thank goodness.
I can kick this one out and
this is what didn't work out with the clone wife.
Yeah,
because she was a clone.
Yeah, that's
God,
funny.
Way to put that thought in my head, man. No. baby's gonna be born, and the next thing you know, ta-da! Like, clone wife.
You don't gotta worry about that.
And you can't even do a DNA test because it's a clone.
It's the same fucking thing.
Thank God we don't have to worry about that. Let our kids worry about dealing with fake clones.
That's cool. When I was rewatching the 92 version, like the old, I know like some of the futures that they were going back to. I think when Wolverine and them went back to their future, or like that one weird future, I think it was like 2055. Like we're so close to that. Like what the
yeah.
Just saying it's a possibility.
I know.
Dude, I mean, honestly, man, I mean, you see what's happening with Ukraine. Like, it just, the moment we get a war here in the U.S., like, yeah, like, I wouldn't be surprised in, like, 25 years, like, the U.S. looks like that. Because, I can only imagine what a war in your homeland is, makes everything look like crap, It's just crazy.
Luckily, we don't have sentinels to worry about, even though bombs are worse, but still, I don't know.
I mean, any last thoughts you guys want to talk about before we kind of get going? But I mean, overall, like, I'm really excited to get season 2. Hopefully it comes sooner than later, but it's great, man. I think a lot of decisions are going to be made because of this show, and I'm really happy for that because I think everybody's going to be like, this is what people love. And sometimes you kind of hate that because you're like, you're making the wrong decisions based on just the fact that we only like this show alone. But I think because of this show, you're going to get a lot of things, and better things are going to come forward in the future. At least that's my hope.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more so thinking like how this is going to affect the movies, because I think that's where I really want to see some change. Like, how many people like, through the internet everywhere are always talking about how like they just want the change within the MCU, within these upcoming movies and everything else. And in reality, it's like, dude, like, of course, like animation is so different, but you're still taking the time to write these stories, right? Like, is it really that crazy that you start involving, I mean, I guess it makes sense, but you start involving actors, and I'm sure things change because people don't want to do certain things, or some things, they have like limitations, right? Like, it's real life. But it's like, dude, apply almost the same story and just fucking like make it real life, and like how to rewatch it too. Like, we've gotten those bits and glimpses of what this has, but this was just done so well. And the pacing, I know it's always going to be tough to like have that same type of pacing as animation, because you can't just always jump from like scene to scene and all of a sudden you're in another country. But we get it enough from like Transformers and stuff like that. So,
dude, and I would love if they just said like, hey, we're gonna make these new movies, and they are gonna be in the 90s. There's not gonna be smartphones. It's gonna be like a Fallout situation where like some technology is there, but some technology is not. And like, I would be down for that.
Well, that's why Fantastic Four is gonna be interesting, because it's
that is supposed to be like in the 90s 50s. Or a little older, but like this show kind of also shows you that, because a lot of people claim that people have superhero fatigue. Like, this shows you that it's not superhero fatigue. We're just tired of either like promising something and then not delivering on it, or just mediocre movies.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think people just want something that's gonna be good, and that kind of follows what people's expectations are.
Like, I'm kind of glad Fantastic Four is going to be in its own universe, its own thing, and I kind of would hope that Blade would be the same, because I'm just like, dude, it's getting a little bit too repetitive, especially because I just want the new Avengers to come by so that we can start all over again, because this is just not working out, in my opinion.
But I just want to see the young Avengers.
No. That's the first project I would kill.
Well, and then things like actors too. Again, that's another thing that I'm like, you have the same actor in so many movies, and eventually you just don't want to watch certain people anymore. And it's like, it's different, right? Because like characters are so iconic. Once we were watching the animated series, you're like, cool, like Wolverine's always gonna be Wolverine. But yeah, then like Hugh Jackman starts getting older, or like, not him particularly because we love him, but it's like, I mean, there's a bunch of other characters that after a while you're like, I'm kind of over him, like, or her, like, why do we want to keep watching them, like,
Dude, I was really, I don't think I ever talked about this, but when the She-Hulk came out, like, and I really enjoyed that show, like, I really thought it was fun, it was goofy, it was different, but I really hated what they did with the Abomination, like the actual human being guy. Like, I'm like, if you're comparing him to like when he played himself, whenever that character came out in the Hulk movie, compared to what they portrayed him as, like, I'm like, that makes no sense. Like, I reject the idea that that's who he became. Like, I reject it, especially because he was such a military strong man, and it's just like, yeah, so that kind of really
so serious me. And
so serious, and it's just like it's totally a contradiction.
And that's part of it, that they've kind of like they've veered way off with a lot of things, because they were just doing things to do them, not necessarily because they really built on the story, which is why we have so many like weird side things. Like a few of them totally make sense. WandaVision made sense. Even Loki and the Falcon Winter Soldier, I even like them. They all kind of made sense, and I felt like they all added to the universe. But then they kind of went in a weird way where like the last Thor movie kind of didn't really fit in anymore. I saw the Marvels that didn't really fit in anymore, besides just having another movie, kind of like a side quest for these characters. And it just, a lot of things didn't make sense. Even Black Panther, like, it was more introducing new characters, and it added a little bit to the world, but didn't kind of add too much to the like story.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
pre-tro, that's all. Yeah, I agree.
And I'm saying, I think part of it has to do, and again, not trashing on our society now, but I think part of it is just like we're these companies, or these, well, companies, we'll call them companies, because Disney particularly, like, they're too nervous to make some of these decisions because of like sensitivity and inclusivity and all these things. But I'm not saying that you have to ignore that, because obviously we feel very strongly towards those things. But I think when it comes to like fiction and something based on comics already, that already deals with those subject matters, why do we have to like really keep like going over just that one, like you were saying, Abomination? Why did he have to become like such a chill dude, right?
Yeah.
Like, why he was meant to be menacing for a reason. He was a bad guy. Like, why can't we keep him a bad guy? Like, you know,
there's the Thunderbolts movie that's coming out next year. Like, I would have been, I don't know if he was like originally supposed to be in that movie, or maybe he is, or maybe not. But if they would have chosen that movie to be like, this is where we bring Abomination back, because I think Thunderbolt's supposed to be like a Suicide Squad sort of movie. Like, that would have been great. Like, this idea of like, you're bringing him back gets me excited. And, instead, like, not excited anymore because they wasted the character. So it's like, I don't look forward to seeing him at all.
Well, and this is why I love darker subject matter in movies and shows, because like you can never go wrong with dealing with like the end of the world, or like a city being destroyed, or like, this stuff. But like, I mean, like you said, Raul, I think these feel like more like side quests or slice of life, which sucks for this, right? Like, we're not watching anime, we're not like watching a show. Like, I don't even know what show does that, where they just kind of all of a sudden dumb down, or they like simplify it so much and tone it down, and they're still thinking they're gonna make money. No, like, you're just turning people away, because I'm like, I don't want to watch, like, I mean, again, She-Hulk was good, like, it was fun, like you said, Carlos, but again, part of it, it's like, that's not always how I want to see. Like, I don't want to watch a whole season of just like slice of life what She-Hulk deals with in a daily life. Of course, it's fun for a character, but that should be like one episode of like a longer series.
No, and I was gonna say, like, the only thing is that we haven't talked about that one show with Nick Fury. That was garbage.
Oh my god, that was disastrous. That was so bad, and I watched the whole thing.
I didn't because I'm like, you don't have to.
No, like I had to watch it because I've seen like all the Marvel everythings.
The only thing I haven't seen is the one with the girl that's the Daredevil one. She got her own show from my God, from Hawkeye. She got her own show. The one that's she can't talk.
Oh, Echo.
I haven't seen that.
I heard
I saw that. It was fine. We could have done without.
Yeah, it felt weird.
That's the She-Hulk, Echo. We could have done without. Sadly, it's Marvel, even though I really liked it, and I like that. I like her character, so I would still want it. But besides the first three, I think pretty much all the shows after that we probably could have done without. Besides maybe introducing a few of the characters randomly.
I mean, they've announced they're gonna get
Hawkeye
better.
Too.
Yeah,
I like that.
They've announced they're only doing so many shows a year and so many movies, so we'll see, man. I mean, hopefully we get a little bit more excited. And again, X-Men is a good start if you're thinking about like how do I reintroduce or how do I get people excited. So the moment you tell me there's a cruise and all the X-Men, people are gonna be like, it's gonna be like X-Men theme, like hell yeah, like book me on that cruise, a Disney cruise. But yeah,
or kind of like the Eternals, like that was completely pointless. They've referenced nothing about anything in the Eternals since the Eternals.
Dude, they've canceled. I believe they've canceled like any chance of there being an Eternals 2, which kind of upsets me because that's the one that I did enjoy. But I enjoyed it because it's so different, not because it's part of this whole Marvel world.
And it was stacked cast, and
there
was so much, like so many possibilities that they could have done, and the acting was superb. Like everyone, like I haven't seen Angelina Jolie act like that in so long.
Like actually cared, like you get excited to see her in a role. Like,
she was powerful. Like she didn't have like a ton of screen time, but like every time she was on, she was on.
I wasn't saying she was sort of like Wolverine. She was just on the side. They didn't become like, oh, she's an A star. Let's put her in the front. She was just kind of sort of on the side of the movie. Yeah.
Or like Moon Knight. That could have been a perfect opportunity to do some, but no Eternals. Even though you had all these other Egyptian gods, you have no
That's
other
another
gods.
one. I just
Well, at least with the idea of them introducing like the Celestials, then at least that gets to Galactus eventually. And now with like the Fantastic Four, the Silver Surfer, probably Galactus will be in there. So at least like I see how they're like, oh, cool. We probably want to show a little bit of this that ties to that because then we're going to show it later. But I'm like, you don't have to do all that. Like they're curious. I mean, obviously trying to get money, but at the end of the day, I think it just hurts it because again, if it's not done well, why do we care? Or it doesn't really mean much, Like I don't know.
Yeah, with Galactus, I'm nervous because you almost think like that's a Thanos kind of thing that you build up to, but if he is really going to be like,
it has to be.
I don't know. I mean, if he's
really wasting it.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. So we'll see.
So I know, like, super quick, but I don't think you have to build up to it. I know you have to build up to it if, like, people who are not into, like, X-Men and, like, other, like, freaking Marvel characters that you don't know who Galactus is, then, yeah, build up a little bit. But you can do that in a short, like, 20-minute, like, recap or some sort of, like, a scene. But I don't know, like to do a movie that will ultimately introduce Galactus and then later you get Galactus, like that kind of sucks. I'm okay with them being like, here's Galactus, and then you see him, and then a little later they backtrack and they're like, here's who Galactus is, or maybe something brief. I don't know. But yeah, I'm ready for Galactus, man. We need something crazy and huge and ready to eat up everyone.
All right. Well, again, X-Men, great. Everything else, bad. All right.
Spider-Man is also great.
All right. Well, I'm gonna just say Spider-Man. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a good night, and we'll see you guys next week. And Sylvia will be back for Lucy, so I'm excited for that.
Well, yeah. Soon. I'll watch it again.
That's hilarious.
Peace.
Okay. Vaya con Dios.